Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. Today we're going to take the mystery out of the Gamo Swarm Maxxim, and this one we have here is in 22 caliber. Before we get started, just a reminder, please subscribe if you haven't. Hit that little subscribe button. If you'd like to be notified of the videos as soon as they come out, just hit that little bell and you'll be notified every time we have a new video come out. Always, we love your comments. Thumbs up are always great. So now we got done with the business, technical business. Let's get back to the gun. Okay, so we have our Gamo Swarm Maxxim. This one's in 22 caliber. If you guys saw my video with the Magnum Swarm, these take the identical magazines. If you'll see this, these are the identical magazines. You load them up basically right through the back here. They rotate. What's really nice is they tell you what the shot count is on the top. So when it's sitting, when it's sitting in the top of the gun like this, you can actually see how many shots that you have left, because you don't want to dry fire these guns. You can actually damage them by dry firing. But they take the identical magazines. So if you picked up extra magazines, they're interchangeable with either gun if you happen to own both guns. So that's really great. So you have a 10-shot magazine. You have their recoil reducing rail, which, to be honest with you, the Magnum one, I destroyed a couple of scopes on it. I don't think it works that well. Great idea, but I don't think it works that well. Anyway, it does come with the c.a.t trigger, and the c.a.t trigger is terrific. Standard, it's about 3.2 pounds. Now, if you want to upgrade this trigger, it's as simple as adding a metric 2.5 to 0.45, and I put a by 10 little socket set screw in here. It actually goes right back in here, and basically what you're doing is you're putting just a little bit more pressure on the sear. So my advice to you is, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not comfortable with working on air guns or that type of thing, don't mess with it. You could turn this into a hair trigger and it could be somewhat dangerous. If you are comfortable with it, what you do is you just put just enough pressure on it just to lighten this up. That way it engages the sear just a little bit sooner. And I have this trigger breaking, well, we'll test it and I'll show you what it's breaking at. But that, I love the custom action trigger because you really can customize it. And I was talking to some other guys, and they went with a little shorter trigger. I went with the 10 millimeter because then I have that adjustment from 0 all the way back, and that's kind of what I do. You want to put it in that safe spot where it's not going to accidentally go off, you're not going to bump it. But if you're target shooting with this, you obviously want a target style trigger. If you're hunting, then you want a little heavier trigger, but you have that type of adjustment. This also has their IGT piston, which is a gas piston, which is actually, it's very smooth. Not a whole lot of recoil. The gun itself weighs, I think without the scope, right around 5.5 pounds. So it's actually a pretty light gun. They're claiming it'll get about 975 feet per second, and of course that's with an alloy pellet. So we'll actually test it and see what it does. But Gamo is giving this gun a 3-year warranty. So if anything goes wrong with it for the first 3 years, you're covered. The cocking effort on this gun is pretty light, 30 pounds max. You could shoot it all day long. The rails, I add those. And if you've seen my other videos, you'll see I love shooting off these little bipod rails. They're a split bipod, and the reason they're set up that way is that, say you could still cock the gun, you could actually still cock the gun right here, and so that's obviously not in the way. And then we basically just put a couple of Picatinny rails on each side, then I have the split bipods. In fact, I've had a lot of you guys inquiring about it, and I'm trying to see if I can come across some more and maybe take care of some of you guys, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, this is your Gamo Swarm Maxxim. Let's take it out in the field. Let's see how it performs. We'll take it through our usual steps, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so stay tuned. We have our Gamo Swarm Maxxim here, the 22 caliber. We're going to see what type of realistic feet per second we get. Now, Gamo claims it'll get 975 feet per second, and without a doubt, it's an alloy pellet. So we're going to see what it gets with the pellets that we like to shoot in this, and it's the Benjamin Destroyers. They're a 14.3 grain lead pellet. So let's shoot 5 shots over the crony, see what type of velocity we get. Hopefully our crony won't be acting up, and we can get some good reads here. So let's see what happens. All right. Shot number 1. 790. Shot number 2. 775. Shot number 3. 770. Shot number 4. 775. Shot number 5. 769. So you see we're averaging in the high 7s with a 14.3 grain lead pellet. That's definitely respectable. So let's move on to the next session. Now we've got our Gamo Swarm Maxxim here in 22 caliber. We're going to do an accuracy test. We'll shoot 5, maybe 6 shots, depends how we do. And what I'm going to use today, this gun actually shoots well with 3 types of pellets. It shoots well with the RWS Super Hollow Points, the 14.2 grain. It also shoots really well with the Meisterkugeln pellets, the 14.0 grain, and those are a wide cutter pellet. It shoots well with those. And surprisingly enough, it shoots very well with the Benjamin Destroyers, the 14.3 grain. Shoots well with all those, actually very close. And I'm going to show you, in our closing, I'll show you some different 10-shot groups that I did with the various pellets. But for now, we're going to shoot the RWS Super Hollow Points, and we're about, right now, as you can see, we're about our usual 20 yards out, and we just want to see what type of grouping we can get. So let's see how we make out here. That's one. That's 2. That's 3. Four. And let's just do one more. And 5. That's not too bad of a group if I do say so myself. So, our Gamo Swarm Maxxim, shooting the RWS Super Hollow Points. Not a bad grouping. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, we got our Gamo Swarm Maxxim here, 22 caliber. We're going to do a quick trigger test on it. We'll see what type of weight we get out of it. Now, keep in mind, I upgraded that with a 2.5 millimeter screw. The 2.5 by, I think it's 45 screw. So let's see what type of trigger pull weight we get. So we got our trusty Lyman trigger gauge. A lot of words here. And let's see what we get. All right. Okay. That was 1 pound, 9 ounces. So I have this set for just under a 2-pound trigger. It's actually really nice, and that's what you want, especially if you're target shooting. Let's move on to the next section. All right, we're here with our Gamo Swarm Maxxim. We're going to try our luck out at 40 yards, just to show you how far we're shooting. Let's zoom up on here. You can see the variety of little targets we've got up there. So let's see what we can do. It's kind of a little bit of a windy day. So we'll do our best. We're going to be shooting the RWS, the Super Hollow Points. They're a 14.2 grain pellet. Those are one of 3 pellets that actually work quite well in this gun. But 40 yards, honestly, is probably about as far as you want to shoot this. But let's see what we can do here. Let's start at the left and work our way right. Okay, let's start with a little pipe. We do have a little gust of wind going here. So, who knows how that's going to affect our pellet. There we go. All right. Well, that was a nick, obviously, but we did hit what we're aiming at. How about that teeny little piece of PVC there? Oh yeah. PVC makes a great little target because you can cut those the size that you want, and when you hit them, they kind of explode, as you saw that. Okay, another egg. That was just a nick. All right. Let's hit the shotgun shell. Oh yeah, those make great little targets. And last but not least, the big guy. That one looked like a little low. Oh well, that's your Gamo Swarm Maxxim. All right, now we got to wrap this up with our conclusion here on our Gamo Swarm Maxxim 22 caliber. Pretty impressive gun. The fact it's got a 10-shot magazine is great, but let's talk a little bit about the negatives. Number one negative right off the top is the scope it comes with. It's a non-adjustable objective scope. So if you're not 25 yards out, realistically, the scope sucks. Did I just say that? Oops. Yes, I did. But it does. It does. You need the adjustable objective scope. This actually is a Gamo with adjustable objective. It's not a bad scope. I had that. This came with another gun, and I actually put it on here. But so that's a negative. Anyway, the other negative I would have to say was, this is my second one of these guns. The first one that I got would not group. I went through, let me tell you something, almost every one of those pellets right there. And this gun would not group. I sent, not this specific one, but the one I had before this, I sent it back to Gamo because I was so frustrated. I would get flyers, I'm sure you guys have experienced that. Gamo sends it back, says, oh no, it's close enough, it does whatever it does. Anyway, long story short, I ended up getting a replacement. This gun groups so much better. It was like night and day completely. So I mean, they're telling me that was normal. That is not normal. It's not normal in any gun. This gun, however, as you saw, this one actually groups quite well. And so those would be my negatives. The positive on this one is, yeah, this one now is pretty accurate. As you saw, we were shooting half-inch groups with, and I was demonstrating with the RWS, the super hollow points. However, it shoots 3 pellets really good. It shoots the RWS super hollow points, and here's some 10-shot groups with that one. I also shot the Meisterkugels. Look at the 10-shot groups with that one. And in addition to that, the Benjamin Destroyers, which are actually a pretty inexpensive pellet. They're a 14.3 grain pellet, but you can see the groups on that one. So not bad. They're all actually very, very close. So we're kind of in that neighborhood of a half-inch group at 20 yards. So that's nothing to complain about. You saw as far as our velocity, realistically, we're getting about average 775 feet per second with a 14.3 grain pellet. That's 19 pounds of foot-pounds of energy. 19 pounds of foot-pounds. That's, if you like to hunt, that's plenty to hunt with. And again, I've mentioned this before. It's not about the high velocity when it comes to hunting. It's foot-pounds of energy. In other words, what type of kinetic energy is that pellet being pushed out at? And that's based on the weight of the pellet. And sometimes the heavier pellets do actually work better because once they get up to that velocity from the muzzle and they going out towards your target, the heavier pellets have a tendency not to slow down as much and provide more foot-pounds of energy. So that's what you have to play with. Remember, each gun is kind of picky to whatever type of pellets that it likes. But anyway, another tremendous thing on this is the c.a.t trigger. I love these triggers because they're so adjustable. And you saw in the trigger test, I was getting under 2 pounds on this just by adding that one little screw, that 2.5 by 45 by 10. But again, I'm going to caution you, if you don't know what you're doing, or if you're not a professional, I wouldn't mess with this trigger. You do not want to turn this into a hair trigger. Okay, just keep that in mind. But as you saw, mine, I set it up for target practice, and it's phenomenal. It's under a 2-pound trigger. The gun, you gotta love how easy it cocks. It cocks so easy. On 30 pounds, I mean, it's next to nothing. So again, this is about a $200 gun, and you're getting about 19 foot-pounds of energy, and you have the 10-round magazine, which is terrific to be able to just be able to cock that gun and shoot and just do that for 10 rounds. Plus, you pick up a couple of these spare magazines, you keep them in your pocket, you're good to go. Again, I added the rails on here. You see how well it actually shoots with the rails. I've had people ask me questions, well, how come you're not using the artillery hole? Well, the whole idea, and I'm going to explain this to you guys really quick. When you're talking about an air gun, we're talking about a reverse recoil air gun. As we've talked about before, when you cock the gun, the piston is cocked backwards, whether it be a gas piston or spring piston, and then it catches with the sear, okay? So then it's in place. When you pull the trigger, it releases the sear and the piston goes forward, creating pressure in the chamber here. Well, what happens is this piston actually happens to hit before the pellet has a chance to exit all the way out of the barrel. That's why it's so important that you hold your gun on target through the recoil, because the piston is starting to come backwards after it already has the frontwards recoil, and it's starting to come backwards as the pellet's not quite out of the barrel. And that's why you want to hold this gun as steady as possible. And I found that 99% of these guns love the bipods because you're holding it really steady through that entire recoil process. Thus, you're more accurate. And I think we demonstrate how accurate we can be. I think the gun can do its part. It's just sometimes I can't do mine. But anyway, overall, I'm going to have to give this gun a solid 4 stars. It's getting a solid 4 stars. Like I said, maybe if it came with a little bit better scope, and if I didn't have such issues with the first one, then I probably would have given it maybe a little bit higher marks. But I'm going to give it 4 stars right now. And yeah, so overall it's a good gun. It's a fun plinking gun. You can shoot it all day with this which is easy cocking effort that this has. So, and again, thank you for tuning in to Airgun Detectives. This is where we take the mystery out of the air gun. Until next time.